This was the first time I participated in a big regatta like this, and we were anxious to see what it would be like. There were 19 boats that were registered for this Punch Bowl Regatta, and I think we ended up with 17 boats participating, but that was a lot of boats here for the local sailing club, and everybody had a good time. Normally on club race days, if it's not a big regatta, we would not have a photographer out on the committee boat or out on the boats. And so this race was a little bit different in that we had a professional photographer that got a lot of good photos. And so we were able to get some good photos of nature's child that we would not have otherwise been able to get.
I don't want to leave this big wind now. Well, I got me. My spinner. I'm afraid if I put it up, it just split in half. It's like dry rotting. I'll take it out. Sand pull this one. Yeah,
The way these races are set up, the committee boat sets out to go set the marks and get everything set up, and then the participants for those races are to go out and then basically practice on the course, see where the favorite side of the course is, so they can plan their starts and their finishes and really get a better feel for what the wind is doing out there. Unfortunately, when we go out there, we're pretty much just trying to stay out of everybody's way, and I'm not yet to the point that strategy really comes into any of our movements at the start. I'm just pretty much trying to stay out of the way and not smash into somebody. But they said hopefully it'll click and it'll get better. It just takes time. This is before the start of the first race, and the reason I can tell that from the audio is you can hear the committee boat talking to the chase boats that are out there setting the marks up. When they get out there, the wind may shift, and they have to take a look at how long the course needs to be, because it can change from race to race, certainly from day to day. And so at this point in time, all of the boats are out on the course, just like I mentioned before, just kind of trying the course out and seeing where the wind's coming from and where the best place to be is. And we're back over here behind the committee boat, again, just trying to stay out of everybody's way. We have yet to been able to get our boat out and put in the water and out there far enough in advance where we can do this, just because it takes us longer to get our boat ready than other people. But yeah, so this is before the race, and everybody's going back and forth, just trying to see what the course is. I mentioned earlier that there was a professional photographer that was out on the committee boat taking pictures, and I was able to get some good pictures of nature's child for this race. Um, it may be self evident, but if you're out on your own boat, you can't really get good pictures of your own boat. You could get pictures of other people's boats. But in this case, fortunately, we were always so far behind all of the other boats that we were alone and were not blocked by other boats out on the race course. So we were able to get some really good pictures of nature's child, and I'll use them as screen savers and photos in some of my other stuff that I'm working on. But we got really good pictures of her. This is a good video clip showing what all goes into tacking on the boat when I'm basically doing it alone. I have to reel the jib sheets in. I have to check and try to get the sails set where they need to be. I'm looking for other traffic as I'm doing this, and at this particular point in time there wasn't all that much wind, but I'm about to get a gust here, and you can kind of see that if I'm out there alone and a big gust comes like that's coming right now, it's really all I can do to just hang on. I can't really reach my hand off the tiller to grab that main sheet and release it. And so it's very difficult for me, especially in gusty winds, to be able to keep any kind of semblance of control if there's big gusts that are constantly pushing me over, and that's because I'm alone. Now that doesn't mean you can't do it when you're single-handedly, and in fact I believe the boat that won the Silver Fleet here was single-handed, but it's just hard for me, as inexperienced as I am, to be able to control it the way I think I need to. But it is very fun when we lean over like that and have water coming over the side. It's just not very fast. You can't really tell it in this video clip here because it's covered up with a towel, but I've got my iPad set up with the Navionics on that bottom crib board there. Have that crib board in for a couple reasons. One, I got scolded, and rightfully so, for not having the crib board in when we were in some real heavy winds. And so I've got the iPad set up with that, and I've got it covered up to make sure it doesn't get too hot. But I'm able to track with the Navionics, I'm able to track the boat speed, course, direction, and all of that, and I'm hoping to be able to use that to monitor as I'm sailing this summer, and provide some better information and for me as I'm out there.
Chris, that'd be pretty cool living in that house watching all this. In your backyard.
I've been a member here, I think, for 3 years now, maybe four years, and usually I'm not, by anybody's definition, a racer. I participate sometimes, but I'm really not any good at it, and I'm trying to learn. But everybody that participated here was way beyond my skill set. But it was nice to see so many boats participating in this race. I'm not, I joined after COVID, and during COVID there were basically, I think the races and everything were shut down. But they said that prior to COVID, they would have this many boats out there. But since COVID, I believe they told me that this was the most number of boats they've had participate in any of their racing. So it was very nice to see that many boats out there on the lake, promoting sailing and just being out there together. It really made it a lot more exciting than just some of our local weekend club races. In this clip, you can see me. I'm about to round the windward mark. This is basically the turnaround point for the race. And so as you come around this mark, you've been sailing upwind, and then you turn and you are going downwind to race back towards the committee boat. And some of the boats and the more, I guess, serious racers have something called a whisker pole that you would go up to the foredeck and attach it to the mast and hold the spinnaker out
Do I need
I
to
don't
move?
have one. Actually, I have one of those. It's just broken, so it's not working. And plus, with me being single-handed, it would be very difficult for me to go up to the front and attach this thing to the sail to keep it pushed out. And so I had a real hard time going downwind because my jib sail would just flop back and forth and it wouldn't be full most of the time.
Committee boat, lower boat. Committee boat, lower boat.
What kind of boats are those little ones? I was not sitting on it. I wasn't sitting on it.
Yeah, it was on your butt.
I know. It got up under my butt. There's just nowhere safe. Nowhere safe on here.
While looking at this video, one thing that actually I hadn't noticed before was how dirty the lake water is at this point in time. I guess it's because it's spring and there's a lot of rain coming down the river. This is a river-fed lake. But in the summer, the water's not this brown, and it actually turns blue, and it's a lot prettier. But I guess this is what it is for right now, but it's not like this all the time.
The winter circle down there? Is that the winter circle?
Yep. At this point, we are still heading up to the windward mark, that orange buoy-looking thing at the far left, and these boats are already heading back towards a committee boat. And so basically our paths are going to cross. And at this point, I'm just moving out of the way because I'm way behind them. I do not want to interfere with anything. But sometimes there's if you can imagine if there's a lot of boats rounding the mark at the same time and coming back towards you, it can be kind of chaotic and who has the right of way and who needs to get out of the way. And that certainly happened today or in this race. And we almost had a collision. But luckily we didn't hit, and we just learned now to stay out of the way. This is a real good shot behind the boats. You can see they have their sails spread, their main sails off to one side, and their jib is being held up by the whisker pole. As I mentioned, I have a whisker pole, but those boats all had crew, so it was easy for them to set it. In my case, it would not be easy for me to set it even if I had it, because I'd have to go up there and do that all alone. Again, not saying it can't be done. It was done in this regatta, but that's not the skill that I have at this point.
Chris, that'd be pretty cool living in that house, watching all this. Like in your backyard. What now?
Okay.
Do I need to move? Am I in the way of that tiller thing? Am I in the way of the tiller? Do I need to scoot up?
No, you're fine. What's your head?
Yeah. My hair's stuck, Chris. Huh?
Don't do that again.
Like I put it up.
Is this your last lap? Are you going to the finish line now?
This ain't our last lap, is it?
They started before us. They started on that first week.
I feel like they just ride around showing off.
When the wind's heavy, that's right.
Holy moly. Is that Michael?
Mm-hmm.
I like that boat because it's got the trampolining layout. Do they have a thing down inside?
I do not remember which race this was. There were a total of 3 races on Saturday afternoon. But at this point, you can see I'm headed downwind. I've got the main out to one side and the jibs out the other. And the whisker pole would have attached to the front of the mast and then held that jib out to the right side of the boat, out to the starboard side, so it can catch more wind. But as I mentioned a couple times, I didn't have my whisker pole out there and couldn't set it even if I had it. So I was basically just concentrating on doing the best I can to keep the boat headed downwind. Now I will, if you look off to the left there, you can see that other boat going much faster upwind than I am going downwind. And there's probably several reasons for that, but the point of mentioning that here is that I'm not going as fast as the boats that are going upwind. You can see they're going quite fast. And so I'm going to just guess 2.5, maybe 3 knots or so downwind. And in a minute here, you're going to see another boat approach me straight ahead, and they're going much faster. And I'm on a starboard tack, which means that my main sail's off to the left. So technically, I have the right of way over that boat that's leaning over, heading my way. But they're racing in Gold Fleet. Should have already turned to get out of their way, but I believe a gust hit them and forced them to round up. into the wind. And at this point, I thought we were going to get hit. So I turned so that if we got hit, we'd be going the same direction and not in opposite directions. The ironic thing about this is that person driving another boat is what I actually bought this boat from. And he actually was in an accident, I believe last year, and he had to do some fiberglass repair work on his boat. But luckily, we did not hit. I think I mentioned that when the boat's heeling over like this, you're not going that fast. But when my son comes out and goes sailing, we really want it to be this exciting. And if it's not like this most of the time, then he's not interested in going. This is actually one of the better starts that we had. Again, there was only 3 races, and I can't really say what we did differently, but we're actually not as far behind on this start as we have been on some of the other ones. And this gets a little better. You can see, I'm going to say how close, but just because it's the closest we've been, we're still not really close to being contention or really be anything other than a collision threat to the other boats on the course. But it was mentioned that there were, different classes. There's Catalina 22 Gold Fleet, which are the more experienced racers for the Catalina 22s, and there are also the Catalina 22 Silver Fleet, of which I'm participating in. And then there's an open fleet, which are for classes of boats or boats that don't have at least 3 to have a, I guess I'm going to say, sanctioned race. But here we are. You can see the boats are heading upwind and they're tacking. We got 4 boats up here, and again, this is the closest we've come to being up with the group, so to speak, for the race. But we had a good time. I added this picture in here for a couple reasons. One, I just thought it was a neat picture of the boats out there on the race course that day, but also just to point out, how close these boats are together. And when all of these boats are tacking and racing, you can have a boat sitting right off to your edge and right off to the right, right off to the left. And so then all of a sudden one boat will decide to tack, and then if the other boats don't tack in time or decide not to, then there may be actually a collision. And that happens sometimes, even on some of our local races. And I'm just not comfortable enough to be out there close enough where that could happen. I think as I get better and more experienced, that won't make me as nervous. But one of the worst things that I could do at this point in time is to go out there and, whether it's my fault or not, smash into another boat and cause some damage to it, because some of the boats that we have out here participate in national Catalina 22 races and win them. And so I did not want to be the one that damaged any of those boats. You can see in this clip that my shrouds, basically the cables that are on the side of the boat there, the mast is leaning over to that side and these shrouds are loose. And I bought the gear to tighten them up, but I haven't really been able to figure out not necessarily how to do it, but how tight is okay. And so what happens on my boat when I'm have heavy winds like this is the shrouds get loose on the leeward side, and they'd be tighter on the other side. It hasn't really seemed to do any damage to the boat, and I guess I'm just going to continue to do that. I did try to tighten some, but without any load on it, it was they were really tight, and I was just, with the boat being 50-something years old, I was worried about breaking something. So you can see now we've tacked, and then the shrouds on the right side of the boat are tight, and the ones on the left side are loose. So if anybody's got any ideas about the best way to address this, or even if this is a problem or not, I'd appreciate some comments. The clip here is a good example about why you would want a whisker pole on the jib to hold it out to one side. I've tacked, heading downwind now, and you can see the jib sail is just going to basically do what he wants. The mainsail's going over the same side, and you really don't want your mainsail and your jib on the same side if you're going downwind. But without having the whisker pole, I really could not keep that from happening, and so I was losing the ability to go as fast as I could heading downwind. Not as fast as other boats, obviously, but as fast as I could go.
Not working. We'll sail as far as we can, but is there a boat that could assist us to get to the dock?
Yeah, we'll get somebody to help you.
Thank you.
This is a clip showing the Navionics that we're running on our iPad and also the cell phone. It's been very useful for us. This is an inland lake, but the data seems to be pretty accurate, and we use it at night, especially when we're coming back. We've gone to a different part of the lake and we can't see anything because it's dark. It's been very helpful as far as keeping us on track. And I use it sometimes, just like I did here, to track our race course, and I'll go back and look at it later. This is a short clip where you can see the difference between the mainsail. This is a loose-footed where it's not attached to the boom at the foot of it, versus what I had last year, which was a bolt-footed where the bottom of the mainsail would be attached to the boom. I don't really know that it makes that much difference. If you listen carefully to this little clip, you can hear over the VHF radio, the committee chair making the announcements as far as the start. Whenever you start one of these races, there's like flags you put up on the committee boat. You put them up, you take them down, you get 5-minute warning, and 4 and 1. And to be honest with you, sometimes I don't even know when the race has actually started. I just kind of look and see when the other boats are going. But it is fun to know what's going on and how the race is supposed to start. And if you're really good, you can time when the timer starts like 5 minutes before the start, so you can actually time when you cross the starting line, so that you cross basically on course at full speed, at the right time. If you cross over too early, I think you have to do like a 360 or 720 or something like that. But yeah, that's something I need to learn how to do better.
Are we next?
We're in our race sequence now. So all these boats are maneuvering, trying to get in the best spot. This is a long clip here where you can see the boats kind of jockeying for position here in preparation for the start. I think I mentioned there was 3 or 4 classes of boats in the regatta, and not all of them started at the same time, although they did start all of the Catalina 22s at the same time. I think I've been in one race before where they started the 2 Catalina fleets, the gold and silver, at different times. But here it's close enough to the race that all the boats are behind the line, or at least have not crossed the starting line and getting ready for the start of the race. And here we go, we're getting closer to the race, and you're going to see all the boats crowd the starting line even more, and it's going to get a little bit more chaotic here. You saw that boat going back, coming across our field of view. You can have a boat going one direction that just decides to tack and turn completely around, and then you have to react to that. But that's what these boats are doing. They're going up to the far end of the line and then turning around in the goal of being at the preferred side of the starting line, which would be between that pontoon boat there, and then you can't see it, but there's a orange marker out to the left there. And then they want to be on the starboard tack, which is the right-of-way tack, if you will. So if you're on the starboard tack, anybody on a port tack has to give way. And then you have all these boats that are coming, basically trying to get to the same place at the same time.
What the hell?
And I mentioned it, that we're basically trying to stay out of the way of these other boats and kind of following them and see where they're going and what they're doing.
What just happened?
In the hopes that luck will shine on us and we will just so happen to be in the right place at the right time.
Now I know why sailors cuss.
You go. Let's do it again.
In this clip, you can see me look over my shoulder because the start's about to take place, and I look at all the Catalina 22s in that group over there, and I'm it's like 70 or 80 yards over here to the left on the wrong side of the course, basically. And so for this particular race, it was downhill from here. So that's really it for the video clips as far as our first experience with a big regatta on Nature's Child. We had a good time, and it certainly was a learning experience for us, and I will be participating in more races as I have the opportunity to. Primarily, I see myself just as a casual sailor, not really interested in all the racing, but they say that's how you start out and eventually get into it. But I appreciate any constructive criticism on the videos that you might have. Please just reach out and leave a comment, and I will be sure to respond. Thank you for watching.